the UFC is protecting him from me, you know. In reality, that's the fight to make right now, because that fight makes more exciting to people than more championship fights.
Me to that, boom, we are on different levels, and everyone can see that. He was very disrespectful to me, to my country, to all my people, and he just behaved like a...
It is true that Ilia Topuria will fight Paddy Pimblett. Think about the idea. The UFC has welcomed the chaos. Fans have been calling for this fight for a long time, and it's finally happening. The Spain-Georgia star boxer who has never lost will be going up against one of the most controversial figures in MMA for the UFC lightweight belt.
Of his involvement, because that was a long time ago, and now he's kind of fucking leveled up crazy,
he has,
right?
But we always knew he was a good fighter, know what I mean? Even though I hate him and I think he's a bellend, I wouldn't lie and say he's a shit fighter. And it made me laugh when he said, what did he say? He called me fat. That's like, lad, you can't make your weight division anymore that you are champion of. He's a midget, lad. He's tiny.
Topuria won the title with deadly accuracy by knocking out Charles Oliveira in the first round with a combination that knocked out the Brazilian. He is now a 2-weight UFC winner, which puts him in an exclusive group. On the other hand, his belt hasn't even picked up any dust. Still, an opponent has already gone after it because he thinks he is the one who will finally ruin Topuria's perfect record. Right away, Pimblett did something after Topuria won the title. He marched into the octagon, challenged him in front of the entire world, and boldly promised him that he would not suffer the same fate as Oliveira, that he would not be knocked out, and that Topuria could not do to him what he had done to a future Hall of Famer.
You're right here. Just one quick one for me. Last week, we were over at the PI at your open workout, and you had a Q&A. And when you were asked about Paddy, you said he needs to win one more fight. And now tonight, you're saying
I was very excited tonight.
So does he need to win one more fight, or is that who you want? You're going to tell the UFC you want next?
I don't know. Someone from my team told me that Dana was a little bit angry about that. Yeah. That he said that...
He said that if he was there, he would not have...
Topuria did not react with restraint. He replied with hatred. He isn't only looking to beat Paddy Pimblett, he wants to make him look bad. He said it outright. He wants to knock him out, not simply to win, but because he likes it. This isn't a fabricated story or pre-fight swagger pumped up for pay-per-view sales. It is personal. Topuria sees Pimblett as a mouthy disruptor who hasn't paid the same dues, hasn't met the same opponents, and has risen through the UFC ranks owing to charm rather than resume. And while fans are divided, with some excited to see the matchup, and others decrying what they regard as a mismatch, the fact that it is now official remains unchanged.
Fight. If you ready, I'm here.
Well done, lad.
Look at me. Look at me.
That was a heavy knockout. I'll give you that respect. But you will never knock me out.
I'm going to submit you.
Knock me
You
out.
limp. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my...
Oh, you can't knock me out. You know I don't get knocked out.
You get knocked out.
I finish you.
Even before the fight.
I finish you, little
Get
man.
that ass from here.
I finish you.
Dana White originally criticized the confrontation. From his viewpoint, it was a violation of procedure, a security breakdown, and not what the UFC does. He said, "I'm not sure who let him in there. That should not have happened," expressing genuine dissatisfaction with watching the two combatants square up in an unforeseen, unauthorized moment during what should have been Topuria's greatest success. However, now that the public reaction has exploded and the media has already dubbed it one of the most anticipated fights of the year, UFC officials certainly realize the potential. The decision to make it official may have contradicted White's initial instincts, but the show must go on, and this show will be tremendous.
I don't know who the hell let him in there. That should have never happened. Let's start there. I was already back in my room, or that would have never happened, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. And I don't really think about that stuff tonight, other than, obviously the Van fight, but, we'll see. We'll see how this plays out. His wife and kid are in the octagon. That's not the fight. It's just, yeah.
It was fun to watch.
It shouldn't happen.
It was fun to watch.
Pimblett, who is now rated 8th in the lightweight class, gained major respect with his victory over Michael Chandler at UFC 314. The fight was meant to settle questions about Paddy's ability to compete with the elite. He did more than hang. He ended Chandler in highlight reel way. He displayed guts, composure, and power while embracing the huge stage. For all of his high energy, uncensored interviews, and divisive personality, Pimblett has quietly built a record that demands to be taken seriously even still. Many say he's in over his head. Topuria's undefeated record includes devastating finishes against known veterans. And unlike Pimblett, his path to the title has been marked by sustained elite opposition.
To fight Paddy Pimblett, do you think that might be at a different weight division? Because he looked like a heavyweight in there. What was going through your mind when Paddy Pimblett stepped in the octagon?
He's fat. He's not someone that looks big because he has that muscle. It's because he's very undisciplined.
Did you think it might get physical?
I saw fear in his eyes, and you know, the eyes never...
But Pimblett is unconcerned with what critics think. He truly thinks that he possesses the style and mindset to break. In his words, it will not be a quick finish. He does not want it to be. He plans to punish Topuria gradually, beating him down minute by minute, and then ending it in the waning seconds of the round. If only to disgrace him, he has openly declared that he would relish elbowing Topuria 700 times before ending the battle. That is the mindset he is entering with, and whether or not it is feasible, it is true.
Paddy Pimblett did come in the cage tonight. Is that the fight that you want more than anything else?
Yes. Yes, that's the fight that I want. Because with Charles, I had a little bit difficult situation because I really like the guy, you know? He's a really great human being. You can hate him. You always see him surrounded.
The announcement of this bout also rules out other potential competitors. Most notably Arman Tsarukyan, the Arman fighter was supposed to be next in line, especially after making weight as the backup for UFC 317. He was originally set to take a shot at Makhachev before withdrawing due to injury. Many believe him to be the division's most deadly threat. He's voiced dissatisfaction with the UFC, preferring Pimblett instead.
Ilia Topuria versus Paddy is one of the truest grudges that we have in our sport right now. Some of you might not have known about it, and the rest of you might have forgot about it. But that B-roll and footage exists every bit as much as Masvidal and Leon exist. Ilia and Paddy exist. But how do we get there? One thing that Paddy said about his career, he said, fight Gaethje and then I'll go deal with Charles. But he had a different idea if Ilia won. If Ilia wins and that's the big grudge match, move Gaethje out of the side, he's ready for the title.
On social media, he branded Topuria a coward and accused him of avoiding the real threat. Tsarukyan has a valid competitive case. He's better placed, more technically advanced, and hungrier. Yet he doesn't move the needle like Pimblett does. Pimblett sells fights, his interviews, presence, and charisma all combine to an incredibly energetic vibe. So, while Tsarukyan fumes and waits his turn, Pimblett gets the title shot, and Topuria faces the opponent he has wanted to knock out for years. Justin Gaethje was another name in the running. However, after making cryptic comments about perhaps retiring and criticizing the UFC for not compensating him, he is now on the bench.
If he wants to assure his title shot, he has to fight with Justin Gaethje, because if he fights with Arman, I think that Arman's gonna beat him. So the easiest path he has right now to get the title shot is Justin.
Okay, thank you.
Stylistically.
Dana White termed his words weird and indicated that if Gaethje is apprehensive about fighting, retirement would be the best choice. That may have slammed the door on Gaethje's shot at Topuria, leaving the route wide open for the grudge fight to take the stage. Topuria's wife and child were in the cage when the fight broke out. That detail stood out to Dana White. He claimed that the scene was not what the UFC was about. And yet, it is exactly what the UFC is about: emotion, chaos, strife, and legacy.
Ilia, after the fight, he called in Paddy Pimblett and brought him into the cage, and they had to face off. Obviously, they've got a long history together. I know there's a lot of options on the table for Ilia, but when he shows that type of interest in a fight, does that make you want to make it?
Well, I don't know who the hell let him in there. That should have never happened. Let's start there. I was already back in my room, or that would have never happened. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. And I don't really think about that stuff tonight, other than, obviously the Van fight. But
a duel between two fighters who despise each other and think they can destroy the other. When Topuria told Pimblett, "You will get knocked out before the fight," it sounded like rage masked as assurance when Pimblett responded. It was the epitome of a fighter with nothing to lose and everything to win. It was spontaneous. It was messy, but it was great for selling the biggest bout of the year.
I wish they would do that Topuria versus Paddy fight. I know it's different weight classes, but the beef's there.
I mean, just the levels are they're just so different. Yeah. And the UFC knows that. They're not stupid.
Paddy literally is
way bigger than Ilia. I'm not saying he'd win or lose. I'm just saying it's crazy to think they're only one weight class difference, but he's way bigger.
Yeah, but if you saw Paddy on weight, close to weight, you'd be like, oh, he's not that huge.
I think you would be like, holy shit, these guys look way different. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Paddy's a big guy.
The tension didn't simply live inside the octagon. Pimblett doubled down in post-fight comments. He stated how uncommon it is to watch two warriors harbor genuine animosity for one another. He compared it to Khabib versus McGregor, understanding that matchups like this market themselves. He acknowledged that he did not want to finish Topuria early. That would not please him. He plans to disfigure him. He wants the win to be known for how terrible it was. Topuria shares this attitude as well. He has never kept it a secret. He wants to embarrass Pimblett. He wants to stop the rumors, kill the fame, and bury the legacy before it becomes any bigger.
You had a little face-off with Paddy Pimblett in the octagon.
There is no one like him that I really want to knock him out. That's something that I'm really gonna enjoy. With Charles, it's like I like the guy where I have to fight against him. It's not the same with someone like Paddy. I'm gonna knock him out and I'm gonna be happy after that.
What makes this battle so intense is that both guys believe the other is a joke. Topuria views Pimblett as a buffoon. Pimblett sees Topuria as an angry technician whose emotions will cost him. Both of them are wrong. Both of them are right. The UFC feeds on chaos, and now it is real. The battle that wasn't meant to happen has become the one that everyone in the sport will stop to watch.
He's not even ranked. Why have to fight him? What he got? Like Instagram followers, YouTube followers, a lot of people who are like more popular than him. I don't care about that kid.
Following his amazing knockout victory at UFC 317, Ilia Topuria refuses to let the dust rest. While most victors might take the chance to enjoy and regroup, Topuria has focused directly on legacy, not content with simply dominating the lightweight class. He is previewing a road that no one in UFC history has ever taken, a 3-division title run. The significance of what Topuria achieved at UFC 317 cannot be emphasized. The Spanish-Georgian Phenom, who headlined the third straight pay-per-view event, stopped former champion Charles Oliveira in the first round with a vicious show of technique and ferocity, and thus he added the empty lightweight strap to his collection. Topuria, a former featherweight champion, made history as the first unbeaten fighter to win belts in the classes.
There is a blonde bitch. There is a guy that when it comes to the liver, his back hurts. So I don't know, whoever is ready for me.
You're talking about Paddy Pimblett. You've had personal difficulties with Paddy in the past. Is that the guy that you would like to defend your title against first?
Listen, I don't think that he's gonna accept it.
That triumph won him more than just a belt. It pushed him to the top of the pound-for-pound rankings, surpassing Merab Dvalishvili and Islam Makhachev. It solidified his status as one of the UFC's most dangerous and dominant champions. Despite the accolades, the stories were not simply about the knockout or his rise through the ranks. What has dominated the talk is the post-fight altercation with Paddy Pimblett, the highly controversial British lightweight who came into the cage following the bout, resulting in a nasty exchange that Dana White later criticized. The moment was unsanctioned, unplanned, and obviously electric.
Guys like you, look at you, the way you carry yourself, that's a fighter. Like, you look at that guy's a dangerous motherfucker. But when you see Paddy, he's dancing like this, his hair is flopping around like he's in the Beatles. You know, he's like, he seems silly, but then he fucks people up. I think people
he fucks people up like Michael Chandler. When you're walking with a guy that has 10 losses, the level of confidence is completely different.
Topuria's reaction to Pimblett's appearance was not only emotional, it was deeply personal. The hatred between them did not begin that night. It has its origins in a tweet from years ago, when Pimblett, in an online fight with one of Topuria's friends, addressed the 2008 Russo-Georgian War, writing, "Now I see why Russia destroyed Georgia." That comment was not taken as a joke. Topuria, who went through the war as a child and knows the anguish of losing friends and neighbors and watching his country burn, found the remark not only unpleasant, but also reprehensible.
I don't want to see Paddy versus Topuria. If I could pick what fight I want for Topuria next, of course, easily the Islam fight, if he's able to go up again, but I doubt he's going to be able to go up. So the Arman Sarukian fight sounds good. The grudge match will be, I guess, decent against Paddy. But I don't know. I don't want to see the Paddy fight. The UFC might be headed that way, I guess.
On the MMA Hour, he spoke up about that experience with rare candor, his voice tight with rage. It makes my blood boil, he stated. Children were dying in that fight. He laughed about it. That background sets a whole different tone for their fight at UFC 317. This is not a marketing ploy or a public relations effort. It's pure, unadulterated hate. Despite this, the MMA world continues to debate the authenticity of the suggested matchup. Kamaru Usman, a former welterweight champion, stated openly on the Pound for Pound podcast that the fight does not make competitive sense. It's a mess right now at 155 pounds, he told Henry Cejudo. You can't argue Pimblett deserves that chance unless he's faced Sarukian, Gietja, Pierre, or Oliveira. Usman's point represents the angst of purists who regard ranks as sacred. If Arman Sarukian is the top contender and Justin Gietja has done more for the UFC than nearly anyone in the division, why should Pimblett beat them?
Paddy Pimblett said something interesting just earlier. He said that he believes one of the reasons Ilia went up to lightweight was because he doesn't want to have a rematch with you.
Look, he's been talking about going up and fighting for the lightweight, for a while. And I don't think that that's the case. I think he just wants that champ. I don't know how many fights he wants in his career. I think I've even heard him talking about only having a few fights. He wants champ, and then by the time he's a certain age, he's done. So, I don't think numbers of fights is a big thing for him. I think he's just got,
Sarukian, who has witnessed both sides of the UFC matchmaking process, did not disagree. He got the title shot. Straight up, bro. He said in a tone that expressed irritation and inevitability. Demetrius Johnson joined in, mirroring the sentiment on his YouTube account. He questioned the use of rankings if fighters such as Sarukian are ignored. Johnson, frustrated, suggested holding a vote to determine what the fans want and doing it that way. In fact, this may already be happening. The UFC has never been a democracy in the strictest sense. It's a business and drama sells more than research. Pimblett may not have frequently met elite competition, but his name draws attention. His tales create viral moments. And when he stands across from a fighter as ferocious as Topuria, the result is explosive.
Excites me more is the fight with Paddy. If they could put that fight in Spain, in the Bernabeu Stadium, that's the only stadium in the world that they can close the roof.
How many people?
80,000. Yeah.
You get 80,000 in Spain easy too.
Yeah.
If you're fighting in Spain,
no problem.
Oh my God, that would be insane. I might have to go to Spain for that.
And a lot of people could travel from England to Spain. That will be a massive one.
Topuria is aware of all of this, but it has not diminished his desire. If anything, defeating Pimblett, especially given their history, would push him toward an even more outlandish goal, going up to welterweight and being the first fighter to win UFC championships in 3 weight categories. He was asked not to discuss it after UFC 317, and he even joked that he had told the UFC he wouldn't, but in classic Topuria fashion, he broke the hush moments later during the press conference. There's room for a 3rd belt here, he answered, pointing to his already gold-plated waist. Behind the scenes, his team is already thinking about the move. His physical trainer, Jesus Gallo, confirmed the viability, stating that Topuria walks around at approximately 80 kilograms, which is more than adequate to fight at welterweight.
He mentioned Dustin, he mentioned Gaethje, he mentioned Arman, but the fight that would really make sense, can I get a drum roll? Ilia Topuria. These guys have the day. The storyline is there, bro. They're both stars in the UFC. If I'm the UFC, I'm booking Justin Gaethje versus Islam, and then I think you do Ilia Topuria on that fight. Whoever comes out of top gets the next title shot.
You're absolutely right, Henry. If the UFC just like, hey, you know what? Let's make the biggest fight we can in that division. Because Paddy...
Gallo's confidence is based not only on Topuria's stature, but also on her toughness and readiness to take risks. The man started his career as a bantamweight. The fact that he's now going for welterweight and doing it realistically is a leap that only the most top athletes can even consider, and it cannot be just about the belt. It could be about chasing another name, Islam Makhachev.
Yeah, wins and says he wants to fight me. The UFC will make that fight. I think so. Because they know it's a money fight. As Ben was saying, that's like one of them fights where they were well pressed to all that, like McGregor Aldo. I know I'd beat him. It's funny because I got laughed at for it, but I know I'd beat him.
Yeah, but that's what separates you from the other guys.
Yeah.
From the other guys, isn't it?
I don't know I'd beat him, man. we've already talked about the game.
The former lightweight champion, who vacated the championship just before UFC 317, is allegedly stepping up to challenge Jack Della Maddalena for the welterweight title in New York in November. If Makhachev wins and takes the 170-pound title, the stage is set for a grudge fight of epic proportions. Topuria has already stated that if Islam becomes welterweight king, he will follow but will not come to shake hands.
He said that no one gives an about Islam.
No one gives a fuck about him. Even in Dagestan, when he's fighting, the people goes to sleep and they watch his fight in the morning.
Is it true? How did you get that information?
I know that. I know that from people that lives in Dagestan.
You got people on the ground in Dagestan.
Yeah.
Islam, I don't know if you saw this, has been training with someone that you've trained with. This guy's come 2-3 years in Dagestan. Is this Islam trying to prepare for you already?
The last fight that I remember when a Georgian faced a Dagestani guy, it was Merab against their cousin, right?
But first, he must deal with Pimblett. That fight is almost probably going to happen. Whether critics like it or not, Dana White may backpedal and explain his choice all he wants. But the post-fight moment sold it better than any press tour could. It was rude, it was raw and honest. The insults they hurled at each other were not humorous. In front of the cameras, Topuria told Pimblett that he had placed his B on his forehead. Pimblett replied that Topuria would never knock him out and that he was not Charles Oliveira. He later told ESPN that he did not want to finish the fight early. He wants to torment Topuria for as long as he can, elbow after elbow, until he is unidentifiable. Do you think he can pull it off? Please share your views below and subscribe for future updates.